It's the smallest planet in the solar system, scorched by the sun, silent and seemingly lifeless. And yet Mercury holds clues to how the entire solar system formed. This is Mercury, the planet closest to the sun, racing around it faster than any other planet. Mercury is so swift, it whips around the sun once every 88 days, zipping along at 48 kilometers, or 30 miles per second. As a result, it's also the least massive planet, weighing in at just 3.3 Engx-10 raised to the 23rd power kilograms. That's just 5.5% of Earth's mass, although Mercury is comparable in size to Earth's moon. If you took a bite out of Mercury, it would taste pretty much like pizza dough. There's no atmosphere to speak of, so there's nothing to buffer the planet from the sun's intense radiation. Scientists think the planet was stripped of its atmosphere millions of years ago when the sun entered what we call its main sequence phase and blew away Mercury's protective magnetosphere. But back then, the sun was much more active than it is now, meaning Mercury was likely hit by even more intense radiation. Today, though, Mercury is mostly quiet, at least as far as we can tell. No atmosphere means no weather, no wind, no sound, and no flowing water. But don't let the silence fool you. Mercury has a lot to say about the solar system's history. It's just up to us to listen. And to do that, we need to get closer. Unlike some of its fellow planets, Mercury doesn't have a name from Roman mythology. It's named after the messenger of the gods in Roman mythology. But the Babylonians knew it as the Star of Ishtar, the goddess of love and war. Ancient cultures around the world recognized Mercury as a morning or evening star. You'll never find it shining brightly in the night sky. Why? Well, Mercury is so close to the sun that it's visible only during sunrise and sunset. At those times, it appears as a faint speck, sometimes mistaken for a bright star. Because it's so hard to track through the skies, Mercury remained unknown to humans for millennia. It wasn't until 1631 that Italian astronomer Galileo Galilei discovered Mercury's phases. By observing these phases, scientists were finally able to confirm Mercury's orbit around the sun, cementing it as a planet rather than a star. In between its orbits, Mercury passes between Earth and the sun, an event known as transit. These transits are rare, occurring about 13 times per year, 7 times in May and June alone. These brief windows are vital for scientists wanting to detect exoplanets outside our solar system. We use transits to measure the size and orbital period of exoplanets. To make these measurements, we look for the dimming effect exoplanets cause when they pass in front of their stars. So Mercury's proximity comes in handy when measuring worlds beyond our solar system. From Earth, Mercury looks about the same size as the Moon, but its diameter is 3/4 that of our Moon. And unlike Earth, Mercury has no substantial atmosphere to speak of. It is covered in craters, ravines, and cliffs that hint at a wild past. One example is the Caloris Basin, a massive impact crater stretching 1,500 kilometers across and 5 kilometers deep. It was formed billions of years ago when something huge slammed into Mercury. It might have been a wayward asteroid, or perhaps a chunk of debris left over from the solar system's formation. Astronomers are still debating the culprit. Elsewhere on Mercury, towering cliffs called scarps loom hundreds of meters tall. They stretch for hundreds of kilometers across the planet and hint at Mercury's shrinking over billions of years as its core cooled. While Mercury's surface gives us clues about its history, it's also hiding things beneath the surface. We don't know exactly what Mercury is made of, because we've never drilled down and taken samples. But scientists have a pretty good idea based on data gathered by telescopes and probes. The planet is probably a hunk of dense iron with a rocky mantle and crust. The giant iron core makes up almost half the planet's radius and creates Mercury's unexpectedly strong magnetic field. For a small planet, this field is actually quite powerful. Scientists think it's generated by a dynamo effect deep inside Mercury's core, driven by convection currents. And although Mercury is small, its magnetic field extends thousands of kilometers into space. But it's not perfectly smooth. Magnetic fields tend to be smooth, but Mercury's has cool swirls and knots, and it seems to have a twisted history. Some parts of the field seem to have wandered off course from where they should be based on Mercury's shape. This suggests that Mercury's magnetic field hasn't always pointed toward the Sun. In fact, scientists think it may have once pointed in the opposite direction. What caused this switch? Perhaps it was the giant impact that created the Caloris Basin. Or maybe it was another enormous collision with an object that remains unidentified. As the solar system's smallest planet, Mercury's core is also proportionally the largest. It makes up about 85% of the planet's radius, and it's this core that may hold the key to understanding Mercury's volatile past. Back when the solar system was young, Mercury was much hotter, thanks to the Sun's stellar winds stripping away any atmosphere that had formed. Then a large object smashed into Mercury, sending material flying. Much of this debris formed a thin layer of soil and solidified into the crust we see today. But what caused this cataclysmic collision? Mercury's strangely shifted magnetic field and mysteriously missing atmosphere both point toward the Sun as the culprit. During the solar system's turbulent birth, the Sun was much more active than it is now, spewing more solar wind and radiation. These emissions stripped Mercury's atmosphere and knocked its magnetic field out of whack. But if this is true, why is Mercury still a planet? After all, the Sun's gravity is incredibly strong. You only have to look at Venus and Earth to see how gravity affects planetary formation. Mercury is slightly bigger than Earth's moon, which is 5 times farther from the Sun. Maybe the Sun's gravity tore Mercury apart at some point, but it didn't completely destroy it. The fragments coalesced into the planet we see today. To explore Mercury's mysterious past, humanity has sent a handful of spacecraft to the planet. The first space probe to visit Mercury was NASA's Mariner 10 in 1974. It performed a flyby and returned the first close-up photos of the planet, revealing its cratered surface. In 2011, NASA and the Italian Space Agency launched a joint mission called Messenger. It spent 4 years orbiting Mercury before crashing into the planet in 2015. Messenger provided even more detailed images of Mercury's craters and cliffs and helped scientists better understand its magnetic field. But despite these successes, scientists still have more questions than answers about Mercury. To get even closer to the Sun, humanity needs to send new spacecraft. The European Space Agency's Bepi Colombo will reach Mercury in 2025 after a 7-year journey. It'll study the planet's magnetic field and search for hidden chemistry. Meanwhile, NASA's Parker Solar Probe, launched in 2018, will come within 20 million kilometers of Mercury, allowing it to test models of the Sun's corona. But these missions aren't just about exploring Mercury. They're about solving mysteries that go far beyond the smallest planet in the solar system. And they might help us answer some of our biggest questions about the solar system. How did Mercury lose its atmosphere? What's the origin of its strange magnetic field? And how did it survive the Sun's intense radiation? Answers to these questions may lie hidden beneath Mercury's scorching surface, buried in its ancient crust. From its cratered surface to its mysterious magnetic field, Mercury is a world of extremes and surprises. And it's a reminder that even the smallest planet can carry big stories. By exploring Mercury, we learn not just about one planet, but about the forces that shaped every world in the solar system, including our own. That's all for this episode. Do you think Mercury was once a larger planet? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. See you next time.